Welcome to the second video of the Optimize Your MuseScore Strings Playback series. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the method of taking our MuseScore playback out of MuseScore so that we can further improve upon it. Now, the first step that we have to do in order to be able to achieve this is to actually record our playback. However, we cannot just record the full mix. In order to be able to get our improvements done, we have to be recording our MuseScore strings section by section. So let us take a look at how we can do this in MuseScore. In MuseScore's mixer panel, we have for each channel the buttons M and S. The button M is muting a given channel and the button S is soloing it. And that is exactly what we need for our recording, because essentially we will be recording sectional stems. This means that we'll be soloing first violins, then the second violins, the violas, the cello, and the double basses. In other words, we are running 5 separate recordings, each for one of the sections. Now, what kind of software are we recording into? Well, what we need is a digital audio workstation such as Cubase or Logic or Pro Tools and so on. However, we only need very limited capabilities. We need to record our audio into 5 separate audio tracks, one for each of our sections, and B, we need the capability to have insert audio effects on these tracks because we want to be doing some basic audio processing on it. And last but not least, our audio tracks must have the capability of volume automation on them, which is completely standard these days. So any decent professional DAW, even in its very limited form, should be providing you with volume automation on its audio tracks. Now, how do you actually record from MuseScore into your digital audio workstation? Well, the first thing you have to do is go to Edit and Preferences in MuseScore. And then you need to go to Audio and MIDI here, and then make sure that whatever the audio device is that MuseScore is putting the playback out is connected to whatever is set in your digital audio workstation as receiving the input for recording. In my particular case, I have a Motu audio interface connected to this computer. So this means that the main output of my Motu audio interface must, in my Motu matrix mixer, be routed in such a way that that output is connected to the input in Cubase. I will be recording in Cubase, that then receives the recording from MuseScore. There are no general rules for this, so you need to know how the routing of your audio interface works to connect MuseScore's output with your digital audio workstation's input so that you can record into your audio tracks in your DAW. Now let us take a listen again to the last version of our first video, the version with the dynamic changes that we made using just the MuseScore notation, as it is now recorded and imported into Cubase. And now let us listen to our final improved upon version, which is in the final version folder. Now you can clearly hear that our second version is much more dynamically optimized. It is much more musical in general. It is much more innerly responsive in the sense that one has more of a feeling that these sections are actually listening to each other and reacting to each other, as opposed to the fairly kind of hacked and mechanical character of the first version, especially when it comes to the middle of the opening. So you may be wondering, how is it possible to achieve such a stark difference by just working on recorded audio material? Well, there are exactly two ingredients that were used in making our final optimized version. The first one is volume automation on audio tracks. Now, the power of the tool of volume automation on single sectional tracks cannot be overemphasized when it comes to the possibilities that you have of correcting and shaping not just volume relations, but overall musical response of a recorded track. And the second ingredient was some basic audio processing. So when you take a look at the Cubase mixer here, you see the original tracks here, first violin, second violin, viola, cello, double basses. They are now muted because we have just been playing back the final version, and you can see that there is nothing in there. Now, there is no audio processing, no inserted audio processing effects. And these tracks are routed to original mix output. And you can see that there is no audio processing on this as well. Now, the tracks for the final version are a completely different story. First of all, that is clear, the automation is on. That's why you have this green read automation button on. And here we have, for each of them, we have some kind, even if it's only one, of an audio processor. And we have an audio processing plugin on the final mix output, which is the bus track that collects the signal from these 5 tracks here. Now, what kind of audio processing was actually used? Well, it wasn't much. Let us take the first violins. It is an equalizer, and you see it's only a minor adjustment here. And for the second violins, it's also equalization, and the same will be for violas and the cello. Now here on the cello track, due to the automation range that we're using, we have a gain plugin. Here on the double basses, we only have a stereo field imaging adjustment. And then we finally have a slight EQing on the final mix, on our final mix output bus. If you want to learn how to achieve comparable results yourself, sign up to the Art of VSL. The link is in the video description below. And there you can find a mini course, which will be available starting with January 1st of the coming year, in which I will be showing you in detail how exactly do you employ volume automation and some basic audio processing so that you can achieve the results that are comparable in quality to our final optimized version of Elgar's Nimrod variation.